Hi, this is Mallory Inselberg, the Graduate Assistant at the Testing and Research Center. Today I'm going to walk you through how to start a protocol and how to enter scores and generate a report on the Rorschach Performance Assessment System. So once you hit create a new protocol, we are going to review the account information. So there are 4 different options for purposes of your report that you will generate. You will choose the option clinical. For client information, we recommend that you do not use your client's entire name. So some options are just the first initial of the first name, the first initial of the last name. You could do the first 2 initials of the first name and the first 2 initials of the last name, or you can designate their name with a number code. You are also going to enter the age. So purposes of this example, we are going to use the age of 20. Gender, you are going to select either female or male. So the purposes of this example, ours will be female. And you are also going to enter the education. So when you scroll down to protocol information, you can add a brief description if you would like, but it is optional. You are going to select R optimized, FQ table of RPAS, and age table of adult if he or she is an adult. And in this case, she is 20, so we will keep adult toggled. And then today's date, if today was the day that you administered it, would be April 9th. So once you filled out all this information, you can then hit Start Protocol. And wait for your computer to load. Here we go. So by taking this step, you are applying scoring allocations to this protocol. So your account allocations will be deducted accordingly. So for this, you will always hit OK, proceed, unless you want to return and change some of your clinical information or background information. So you can always return to edit case information over here. You also have the option to edit responses using tables or edit responses using point and click system. So we're going to do a few cards with using tables and then a few cards using point and click system. There's also an interpretive guide to assist you when determining what to code and how to score it. So for edit responses, using this option, you're going to toggle in for coding. So you'll start with either the first card, second card, third card, and so forth. This designates the response number. So you're going to enter everything in red, or you can enter everything in white if you have that information. So for example, for the first card, let's say that the location was whole. So we'll put a W. So since it is a whole response, there is no location number. You are also going to add in content. So let's say the content was a whole animal. You can put in an A. If they saw a pair, you would designate it 2. You would also enter form quality. So we will enter an O for an ordinary form quality. If it was a popular, you can also designate it as a P. And then also the determinant. So if they used form, if they used any other kinds of determinants, you can add it there. So once you're done with your first response, you're going to save responses and continue editing. And then you're going to hit the next one. So the second line already designates it as the second response. So if this response was also from the first card, you'll keep it number 1. If it wasn't, you'll toggle down to number 2. So let's say this response had a location of D and a location of 1. It will automatically highlight everything in red that you absolutely need to include. So for content, let's say it was a human detail. So you will add HD. Let's say that this time there was a 2. They saw 2 of them, so you add the 2. Form quality, let's say, was also ordinary. It was not a popular, so we can add a determinant. Let's say they use some color. So we do FC. So that's how you would do it. So for this, you would also save responses and continue editing. So we're going to actually return back to the screen before this, and I'm going to show you how to edit responses using point and click system. So this is going to bring up all of your responses from the last option. And this actually shows you what each category is looking for and provides you some options of what you can choose based on the response. So up here, it allows you to jump responses. So if you want to look at 1, shows you 1, or you can go down to 2. You would hit next to add another response. So now we're on number 3, response number 3. So let's say this was also on the second card. So for orientation, you would hit whether it was upright, whether they rotated and which direction they rotated, or if it was upside down. Location, you can toggle over W, D, or DD, and then down here in the space below, you would write what D or DD location it was. Is white space used? How it is used? So you would either hit one of these. What is seen? Here are an array of different contents that you can choose from. Were the objects synthesized or were the objects vague? Are there 2 identical objects? Form quality, whether it's a popular, determinants, and then here you can also add in your cognitive codes or thematic codes. You can do that on the previous option as well, but here gives you some options if you're considering what kinds of cognitive codes or thematic codes you need to add. So for this one, we're going to say that it was a human response. The objects are meaningfully related. There was a pair. Form quality, we'll say, is unusual. Could be a popular. And then this will help you toggle down for the determinants. So we'll say that there was some human movement. And then you can also, if it was active and passive, you can also hit. So here we'll do human movement active. You can also input cognitive codes. So you can add, let's say, a deviant response 1, or 2. And then here you can also put some thematic codes. So we'll say that these objects were cooperative. And then you would save responses by hitting next. If you wanted, unlike the last page, with this page, if you were to hit responses, it would exit you from the screen. So you can just toggle next, but every now and then I always recommend that you do save it. And that is how you score a protocol on RPAS. So when you're entirely done with adding in all of your responses, save response, exit screen, you're then going to toggle over here to where it says results. And then it generates all of these results for you to use for interpretation. So up here, so careful, coding is incomplete and results may be wrong. So this sends you a warning signal that if you do not have at least 16 responses, then you should review the protocol, or that the results might not be as valid if you do not have as many as 16 responses. And that is how you generate a report on RPAS. If any of you have any further questions regarding how to input scores or generate a report on RPAS, we at the Testing Research Center are happy to sit down and review it, to go through examples with you if you did not find this example as helpful in figuring out what you should do.